This is Henry Sanders back with another episode of Real Talk. We want to thank our sponsors at Park Bank. Thank you for Facebook Journalism Project for supporting us also. If you want more of our content, please go to our YouTube page or go check out our podcast. Today, I have another candidate, another dynamic candidate. I don't know what's going on, but something's in the water. We have a lot of people want to run for office, want to get active. I'm not sure why. From someone who ran for office before, I'm not sure why they want to do this. But but they keep jumping in. They keep doing it. No, we need good people to run for office. So Aisha, how are you doing, friend?
I am doing great. Thank you so much for having me here.
Yes. So tell us a little bit about yourself, about who you are, and then we'll get to all the good stuff about why you ran for office. But who are you? Tell us a little about you.
I'm a recent UW-Madison graduate. I graduated in December with a degree in mathematics and African cultural studies. Yeah. And
Wait, hold on, time out. What? Okay, what's the okay, African American, which I love, black man, love that. You learn about my people, love it, absolutely. With the math, how does that? What were you thinking you were going to do with that?
To be honest, just studied these topics because I loved them. I just enjoyed the study. I wasn't really thinking about how my degrees were going to match up with a career at the time that I declared them. Yeah, you can't necessarily get a job even with a math undergraduate. It's just that's not how you do it. So I just did it because I love studying those topics.
Tells me a lot about you, though. Passions. She follows her heart. She's passionate. Okay, keep going. Keep telling us about yourself.
I have lived in Madison for about 8 years now. I am the eldest of four. My mom was born in Pakistan, and my dad comes from a long line of Norwegians. We are the fifth generation of Moes that have lived in Dane County. And I really love Madison, and I want so much for it and want it to be such a great place to live for everyone. And we have a lot to go to get there. And that is part of why I'm running as well.
Where were you at before this?
I was actually born in Huntsville, Texas. And then I did my middle school years in Minnesota. And then high school and college was here in Madison.
Wow, Texas. Totally
Yes.
different culture than the Midwest. Wow, night and day. So we get through college, we get through our mathematics and our African American studies, and we say, you know what, I think I want to jump in for politics. How did you make that decision that you wanted to run? Like what was in you that said, yes, I could? Because when you come out of college, there's so many different ways you can impact the world and change the world. Why did you decide to jump in for this seat?
Before we continue, I don't want to misrepresent myself. My degree's in African cultural studies, not African American studies.
Got
Just,
it. Thank
okay.
you. Thank you for the correction.
Um, but my passion for politics came out of the 2016 election cycle. I had just graduated from high school. So I was 17 years old. And at that time, there was this super crazy dude running for president. He hadn't won the nominee for the Republican Party, but he was making his bid. And at that time, I thought he was insane. My whole family thought he was insane. Ah. But my brother, my youngest brother, who was 9 years old at that time, he was told at school by a student that if Donald Trump became president, then our family would get deported because we were Muslim. And it was a very hard conversation. And at the end of it, I realized that even candidates have a way of altering the way we see ourselves and see others. And I knew that I only wanted to represent candidates who stood for a message that I believed in. And that's really what got me started in politics in 2016. And since then, I have worked on a campaign in the 2018 campaign to help get Tony Evers elected. And now we're one campaign cycle away from that. And here I am running.
Who are some of your one? I feel sorry for your brother and hate, and this is why leadership matters. I'm telling you, the leadership and words matter because it impacts so many different things. So we send out love to your brother from the Master 65 crew. So we're totally sorry for that. Um, so who are some of the people that you look up to in the political field? Like who are your political icons or people you really look up to?
I would have to say that my political icons right now are definitely every member of the squad in Congress. Specifically, I really love the stance that Ilhan Omar takes. She's very outspoken about what she believes in, always stands for it, um, and does it in a way that is so strong. I just admire it deeply. And I just try and remind myself that anytime I'm standing up for something and I feel like, oh no, what will people think? Just think like, okay, what would Omar do in this situation instead of being worried about what people think?
Yeah, I mean, especially getting in office. I mean, no matter what you do, you're gonna make someone upset. You have to learn someone. So I ran for governor. I ran for lieutenant governor, and I've been part of Obama administration, and I've been part of politics. Was the highest ranking person Obama folks in the Wisconsin Midwest. So I've been there and done that, and I can tell you what, you can be the nicest person in the room. You can say all the right things, and you're still gonna make someone upset. So that's awesome that you have that person as your icon. That's strength. I hear strength in that. Okay, so let's talk about some of your policies, some of the things you want to run on. What are some of the things that you want to accomplish if you win?
I would want a whole list of policies created, but I'm going to take this time to focus on a couple of them. I'm ultimately a strong progressive, um, and some of the top things I want to have done are reducing the student debt crisis, protecting the environment, legalizing cannabis, creating expungements for nonviolent drug offenses, and creating a badger care for all system here in Wisconsin, so everyone is covered and has health care.
That's a definitely a progressive agenda. How has that been received by people you talk to?
So, as you know, our current state senator, Senator Fred Risser, is a more conservative Democrat. So I had this impression that taking a stance that was this progressive was going to be, strange, bizarre, not well received. But when talking with people, they loved it. They loved the idea. And it was like, as soon as I said my plans, they were like, oh, heck yes, let's do what we can to get you on the ballot. Let's do what we can to support a candidate like you. So it was pleasantly surprised that it was so well received.
That's good. You're I watched your forum that you had the other day with the other candidates,
Yes.
and you came out. You said you're a socialist.
Yes, I
So
did.
how does that work in today's in a capitalist society when the whole culture is around capitalism and moving up in the ladder? How does socialism fit into the dynamic for you?
So I ultimately have the goal of creating a socially just society. That's the overarching goal for me. I want, racial justice and economic justice to exist for everyone, regardless of their intersectionality. Um, and it became very clear to me as I was studying in college that many voices believe that capitalism was set up in a way that profits off of racism. And because of that, you cannot ever attain a socially just society if we continue to have the economic structure that we do. And that is kind of how I discovered socialism as a economic force that we could work towards, or an economic system that we could work towards, because it was something that put people first and did not define growth or success solely based off of the labor output an individual could produce, but instead valued individuals. And that's why I consider myself a socialist, and that's why I'm a proud socialist running in this race. And I understand it can be kind of a scary term at times, but I'm here to tell you that it's the way forward.
Well, we'll see. I mean, we'll see how that plays out. But thank you for your stance. Thank you on that. Thank you for that. That was how long have you been a socialist?
Um, Probably, so I'm 21, and I would say probably about 2 years.
Got it. So I also was listening, learn about you that you for fundraising for the campaign, that you usually are really have a strong fundraising stance about how you want to fundraise money. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
I'm taking the stance that I'm not accepting money from fossil fuel executives or lobbying groups. I took a pledge to not accept money from that industry or executives in that industry. I take the stance that money for fundraising for campaigns should come from individual contributions and from our community. So why not self-funded campaigns and things like that?
How's fundraising going?
I will be honest, it's not as easy as I initially thought it would be.
Yeah, it's tough.
The calls are hard.
Yeah.
The standing for myself. I am relatively as a young woman running for office has another challenge of like I am constantly battling this story in my head that I'm not good enough and that everyone around me is better than I am, and there's like this like facade, and in the fundraising calls there's like an extra added step of like, no, put that back. We're doing this. We deserve to be here. This isn't a facade. There's other wonderful women in this race. Women can run for office. So there's always that conversation that you have to have along with doing the uncomfortable ask.
Well, just by you getting in the ring, just by you doing that says a lot about who you are, right? Just by doing it. A lot of people in life talk about things or they wish they did something, but you're actually doing it. And that in itself should give you strength to know that you are doing something that most people will never, ever, 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 ever do. And you're putting yourself in a vulnerable position to do it. So you should never question your strength or how special you are, because you're doing it in a season where we need young leaders like yourself to do it. And I tell you what, if you win, God bless you. I'll be praying for you if you win, because you'll need all the praise you can get. And if you lose, take it from someone who's lost, take the process and the experience that you learned, because it will definitely help you later on in life. And I used to dread doing calls. Used to just dread this. I'm a big black guy, right? So doing doors, you probably don't have to do doors because of COVID-19, but right. Doing doors, it was interesting, put it like that. It was interesting. So, but I learned a lot about people, and you're gonna learn a lot about yourself. So I'm excited for you. I don't know why you would doubt yourself at all. You seem like we've never met before, but you seem dynamic to me.
Thank you very much.
And your stance are consistent. You're consistent from legalizing marijuana to socialism to not taking corporate money. It's all very consistent, very well thought out. Don't doubt yourself. You're doing this. You're doing this. Yes. So we want to. Is there anything you want to leave our viewers with on your campaign and how they can get more information about you?
Yeah. So my website is aishaforstatesenate.com, and there you can sign up to volunteer as well as make a contribution to our campaign. And given that this is a community contributed campaign, anything you can add would be amazing. You can also find out more at www.facebook.com/Aisha for Wisconsin. My Twitter handle is also Aisha for Wisconsin. My Instagram is Aisha for State Senate.
That's awesome. Are you related to Renee Mo?
No, I'm not related to Renee Mo, and I'm actually not even related to Doug Mo.
Oh, okay.
There's different Mo families here.
You're not part of that crew. Okay. Just asking. You should get to know Renee, though. Renee be good people for you to know. All right. But anyways, thank you for your time. This was an honor. I think we have a rising star in our hands. So I can tell that she's passionate about these issues, and I can tell she's tenacious, so she won't give up. So we look like we'll see you again. I hope we'll see you again soon. You're welcome to always come back on our platform. We love everything that you're doing. Keep fighting the good fight. Keep the faith, and we'll see you next time.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. And we'll see you in the next episode of Real Talk. Thank you for joining us.